Hello, hello. How we doing, everybody? Sorry for the delay getting in here. Looks like we've got our full crew. Um, and are we hearing me okay? There we are. All right. Good to see y'all. Excited to jump in another conversation here today. Got some really cool stuff to show you. We finally got some sexy new art to show off. Some of the teams are cranking through. Um, and so hold on one sec. I'll see what I can grab here. Okay. Um, so first of all, wanted to talk a little bit about a the Vulcanverse. Well, last time we discussed um, kind of breaking up the map a little bit into kind of these cities, villages, settlements, and having more kind of wilderness space in between them, spaces where you can run across monsters and go on adventures and everything else. And wanted to let everyone know that we're making progress in that. Um, there's kind of some excitement on the dev team for how that's going to be implemented and how we're going to have kind of those our missions, our daily adventures, and everything else like that. Um, the for as far as Berserk goes, we've got still some major work we're doing with the coding and getting the new team involved. And however, we've got some killer tournaments coming up, um, and have got some exciting prizes to be going with those tournaments. I've been asked not to be too specific on what those are going to be, but there's going to be like some OG cards and like some really valuable cards that are going to be available there. That's all I can say, right? Ness, let me know if I've crossed the line on that. Um, and then I really want to get into some of the exciting visual stuff here. So we've also talked about Metaball and bringing Metaball under the umbrella of our kind of Vulcanverse universe. And so, oh yeah, there's Sal. Welcome, welcome. Um, and we've been doing a little bit of concept work um, for what these weapons and things are going to look like. Like, how do you do a paintball game of the gods, right? So I'm going to show you real quick the kind of concept we're looking for, more of our like kind of foresty hunter goddess kind of area. So let me see if I can do a share screen. Window. Okay. Check out that right there for the kind of thing. So you see how there's an element of fantasy still. There's an element of like magic there. There's and this is still a concept. We're gonna obviously work on this a little bit. I'm kind of so about the knife bayonet thing on the end right there. But it allows us to have gun shape without being super gun-y. And that makes us a little more comfortable with kind of a younger audience as well. You can see that kind of concentrated godly mana stuff right there flowing through. It'll still do a splash. It'll give you the paintball feel. Yeah, Arcadia juice, perfect. But we're playing with ideas of like, okay, you get hit with this and maybe vines wrap around you. Maybe it roots you into the ground for like 5 seconds or something like that. Because when the gods play paintball, it's not just about splashing. It's about having cool effects on folks. And so just wanted to give you kind of a visual on that. Swap out the potion, swap out the effect. Yeah, there we go. Lumpy, that idea of like you either gain the favor or you move to one of the statues of these other gods. Maybe that's where you get your ammo, and so you pop off that green bottle, and the vines all kind of pull up with it, and then you add like the Vulcan red lava thing, and now the whole thing crusts over with metallic elements and has kind of a chrome wash over it, and now it's firing something different. You get the the Jupiter element that goes on, which now it charges the entire thing with lightning, and it starts crackling, and now it's the yellow energy, and now it's a yellow paint that splashes and does has a different effect. So I got very excited when I saw this, because sometimes a piece of concept work can charge up an idea around an entire project. And so, as we saw this team come up with this piece, we're like, wait, right there, I want to show the community this so they can see where we're headed. Because I can talk till I'm blue in the face about, what our ideas are about this, but there's something about seeing a piece of art and about seeing the way that it's, encompassed an idea that just nails it. So let's see what we're saying. Let's see. Yeah, I like that effect on the gun itself. Yeah, like the fact that maybe the weapon itself changes, and we could have, there's the pistol shape, there's the shotgun shape, there's the sniper shape, and that literally just means range and power. But you can still swap out the that effect on it. So anyway, thought that would be kind of fun to show. Um, and it's something that we're loving, how excited everybody is about this concept too. That kind of pushes a lot of the excitement on the dev side, as well as far as what we're making. And I want to give another caveat. Again, the devs said this, they're like, oh, we're so excited about how we're going to do this. However, the game we're working with right now is very futuristic and sci-fi looking. And so it's going to be a transition. We're going to get the game up and playable as soon as possible, which means the Greek, kind of it's basically our version of the MCU's Asgard as far as design goes. That's going to be taking time as we start placing stuff in. So once again, we know you guys know the process here. And want to get everybody excited for where we're going. But it's going to be kind of rolled out over time here. So I think that can be a lot of fun too, because that gives us the ability to be agile with ways that we're playing. So that as we get in and are shifting between, I love this idea of these the ammo stations being divine pillars or statues dedicated to these gods. And so as you go and you get loaded up with the Vulcan ammo versus the Jupiter ammo versus the Neptune ammo, they all, are those spots going to become, camping spots for people that want to take out their enemies? Is that going to be something that's fought over? And how do we play with that? Those are all elements that we're going to need to balance, and dials we're going to need to twist to make sure it's fun. So let's see. Lumpy says, in addition to getting your ammo from various gods in the battlefields, having a crafting skill in VV, which allows you to create and use and sell unique potions for in-game. That is actually very interesting. Maybe that's even something you can do on your land. Maybe it's something that having your land will allow you to purchase what would you call it? An armory of sorts. And there are little tweaks you can do that that could add elements. And so if you don't own land, and if you don't have one of those, you can purchase those things. That's the sort of thing I love about the in-game economy. In fact, Ness, let's review that idea with the team. I actually really like that concept. Certain NFT, like a blacksmith barn. Yeah. A weapon shop. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Love to see some synergies within the game itself. That's our strength. But yeah, absolutely get it, Lumpy. I mean, this is why I love having these AMAs, is because I hope it never feels like I'm talking down to you guys. I want this to be like, it's a, what did Chris Metzen at Blizzard always says, let's do an idea jam. Let's just have a jam session. And jam session when you've got a band and you're in the garage and somebody's playing out a drum riff and somebody's saying, well, let's see how the bass goes with that. And that's kind of the vibe that I want to get here, is we're all making this. Yeah, blacksmith stuff is definitely what we're looking for. Yeah, this is all. If any of you want to ever get into games, this is step one. You've got to know how to throw out ideas, refine ideas, and kind of chew on those ideas. See if they're working. And I want to be clear also, the process of creative brainstorming, of creating something. This is the first step, which is the brainstorm. It is the jam session. It's everybody throws out an idea, And it's really important that everybody feels comfortable and welcome to throw out those ideas, which is why you're rarely going to hear me say, no, that won't work. No, that's not, because that's a stage we can get to. I would rather, I had a process I would do at Blizzard with some of my designers called 100 ideas a minute. And it was just simply everybody throws out ideas as ridiculous and silly as possible. We fill the marker board up with all these ideas. And there's this group synergy that happens that you just get one idea will leapfrog onto another, and this idea will aspire another. And so maybe if one of the core ideas was kind of dumb or kind of didn't work, it led to the creation of some greater ideas. So that's why you're never going to hear me say no on this. The no comes later. Once you've got your 100 ideas, then we'll go to that board and we'll say, okay, out of these 100, what were our favorite 10? And we'll erase the rest. We get those 10. Out of those 10, how many of these can we do? Maybe there are only 3 of those we can do. So we refine that down and we say, well, if we liked these 2 so much, maybe we turn that into one idea. And finally, you get down to a manageable amount of ideas that were built from that inspiration. So, sorry, just lifting up the hood of the car there so you can kind of see how we're doing this sort of thing and why I try to have this vibe with you, because in my mind, the more brain cells, the more neurons we have firing at this, the better it's going to be. Okay, so let's see. Fallen, appreciate you doing the AMA every week, no matter how fruitful and informative they are. Thank you, Fallen. Yes, sometimes it's funny. I'll meet with Ness before these things, say, okay, let's go over what we've got. And we maybe don't have, like for instance, to be candid, I wish we had more information about Berserk right now. It's the code and the swap between the 2 studios is taking longer. So we're like, okay, well, let's definitely dig into what's happening with the tournaments. And I'm like, okay, but we're gonna like crack some whips. So next time we're gonna have more to talk about on that. But I appreciate you guys appreciating that. You're getting the jam vibe, Peg. All right, great. Lumpy says I'm 52, might be a little late, but I make my own games. We can talk later. Fantastic. Like that's the vibe we want. Is I'm hoping in this group it's people who do more than just love and appreciate games, but have a mind towards creativity. I know Midnight Castle Lady, you have an eye towards the writing, the storytelling. That's what a good jam is everybody coming in at a different vector of approach, and you get some really exciting stuff. It's like improv. Yeah, you're not supposed. It's if you know the classic rules of improv comedy. When an idea is put out, you always say yes and. You don't say no. You don't say eh. You don't say that sucks. You say yes and. How do we modify that? How do we change that? How do we make it better? And so Ness says would make a great water pistol if printed 3D Midnight. If the knife was lost anyway. Exciting seeing the community get involved. Yes, very much so. Okay. And people for me, I think we need a new role on Discord for those of us that are here at the time. Cameras, cronies. Well, I mean, we're all Vulcan Forge. We're all Vulcan folk. It is an elite group. I will say that. But we want to make sure everybody feels comfortable to become a crony. Maybe we'll get them on board. But I appreciate that. So who let you in there? All right. Okay, I've got more cool stuff to show you though. So we've talked about Tartarus and bringing that into Vulcan Forged and what that's going to be like. I want there to be missions. If Metaball, if our paintball, if Paint Olympus, whatever we go with, is going to be our young gods proving themselves, proving their warrior abilities. What happens once you have been proven and you are accepted as into the pantheon? This is where the missions get dangerous, and this is where we can start having a little more of that sort of grim stuff. And what is the most grim game we've got on our library? It's Tartarus, of course. You're getting sent down to hell to free Persephone, or to battle against the forces that are fighting to overtake that. There's a lot of fun stuff that we can do here. But the coolest thing I wanted to show you, right, that our team has just put together. You guys are going to love this. This is the entrance to Tartarus. I mean, you see that entrance right there. You're going to know there's something pretty evil down there. The art team absolutely knocked this out of the park. I was like, make it threatening, make it scary, make it evil. And you might notice some Easter eggy elements of certain arachnid type individuals. Look at the very top of the cave there. Yeah, that is what you think it is. And you know, I love when the entrance to an area is thematically perfect for that area right there. Let me show you one more time, just because it just fits. So this is the kind of talent we've got here, guys, and this is the sort of thing that I think is going to, you know, take this combination of our games into that next level. All right, let's see what we're saying. Devilish, yes, yes, very, very devilish. And we're saying so much better than the VC entrance. I'm a tester and a Tartarus. The view from the test server, besides being empty of creatures, felt like it was needed to enter in groups. Yeah, no, this is something. This is when I've been talking to you all about the Fatui, the importance of a Fatui. Your impression of someone's house is set the minute you step through that front door. You know, and so we're going to apply this kind of focus, this kind of layered, detailed, moody elements to the rest of the game as well. I think it sets a bar for the developers when we see this. So Ness, oh, Ness is going to give us. Ness, by the way, is our, apart from being brilliant at what he does, is also our absolute lore historian. So he says the area where the entrance will be is near the volcano, the area in the books with the swamp where the spiderlings live. So if any of you caught the spiderlings reference, we got one crawling on top, we got legs all over there. I think it's going to be a big thematic part about this whole element of it. So we need fall damage. All right. So anyway, I'm gonna play that one more time. It's just so dang cool. So here's the thing. We know we've got other games that we're going to introduce. This is the sort of entrance, you know, obviously we're changing the theme and the look sort of thing that we're going to be doing for all of those extra games. So it's going to be more than just a, you know, I know we've talked about, you know, Berserk. You go into the tavern maybe, and there's some people playing there sort of thing. We also want to have the major entry into playing officially Berserk against the gods, and maybe it will be gateway through a coliseum of some sorts, or maybe it'll be, you know, something where you feel like you're stepping up to play against the gods. We want everything to feel epic. We want it to feel everything to feel big, because that's just the vibe that we want Vulcan Forge to share to people that are fans and otherwise. So anyway, any questions about the awesome gateway to hell that we have created for you here? All right, so fall damage, jumping back and forth, and yeah. So Peg, sorry, no news on hunting as of yet. We're still like I'd mentioned, you know, earlier. Our focus right now is largely on this. The Fatui is getting you into the game, getting you, you know, and new players excited about what this is going to be like. We made more progress with the kind of character creation screen. Another thing that we're playing with right now, here's something about our avatar Olympian and about the character. If you let's say you go into Tartarus and you collect a magical shield or some kind of weapon, a magical bow or something like that, and then you step back out into the Vulcanverse, you know, the functionality for these sort of things, the functionality for fighting in Tartarus is still a little different than it is in the rest of the world. And so we've had some debate, and I'll bring this up to the community. If, in my mind, if I just got a badass Shield of the Damned with like a laughing skull on the front of it, I still want to carry it into the Vulcanverse, even if it doesn't necessarily have a functionality to it. I want to strap it to my back so that I walk around, people can say, whoa, where did you get that shield? And that's a way for you to say, hey, no, you got to go do this achievement. You got to find this chest, whatever, down in Tartarus. And so that's what I'm pushing for, is to give us the capability of, you know, if you want to click out and change your outfit and put on your shield sort of thing in Vulcanverse and bring in stuff from other games, that you have that capability. Does that matter to this crew? What do you guys think about that? Yeah, that Lumpy, that's what we're talking about, is the shield coming in to usefulness later as we bring that functionality, the combat functionality from Tartarus into the other parts of the game. Um, that's what we'd be aiming for right there. Peg says the game lacks a lot of environmental things to do. Hunting could be really cool, or at least change the defended plots to give. Yeah, I mean I love hunting. That was one of my first characters that I will usually create in an MMORPG, is a hunting character, because it allows better interaction, and allows me to like check out and work with the animations and elements of the other creatures as you bring them on. It just feels great being able to do that. Um, so that's kind of what we're playing with right now. It's going to be a little bit down the line though, but that's the idea when I talked about earlier in Vulcanverse, having these cities set up or settlements set apart with areas of wilderness in between, filling those areas with quest available spots. We've already got the ability of having your Vulcanite that follows you around, extending that into hunted pets maybe that follow you, would be cool. Definitely having monsters that drop gear and gold, and that you could be able to skin maybe and turn them into armor would be really cool. But it is down the line. So new battle feature will be revised in VV. Current hatchet swings goes to the avatar's head. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we're gonna fix. That's simply, I'll be blunt. That's just sloppy stuff that needs to be taken care of. So, okay, let's back from this. So, super exciting stuff visually going on here, that I wanted to bring you up to date with. As far as everything else that we're working on, it's all kind of in transition right now. We will have some very interesting stuff to show you next time. I'm not going to say anything until we're there. But I just figure we could now just kind of open things up for discussion. The I know this idea of let's explore this idea of things to do in the wilderness. Peg brings up hunting, which I think is of course brilliant, because hunting allows us to use the combat elements. What do we like this idea of pets outside of the Vulcanites? Do we like this idea of like being able to, if you are in a certain class, or maybe you get a certain divinely blessed collar that you can choose to put on a creature? That might be an interesting way of. I remember. And guys, I apologize. I refer to World of Warcraft a lot. It's just because it's kind of the gold standard for these sort of games. But I remember there was a rare albino bat that was only available in deep in the Horde territories, and so it was something to show off if you, as an alliance character. I remember I started out as a dwarven hunter, so I had to cross through horribly guarded Horde territories. I had to swim across the parts of the ocean to finally get into this uh, dark forest in the Horde area, and then you had to go looking for this white bat, and then you had to be lucky enough to take it down. But when I finally captured that bat and made it a pet, and then got all the way back into Stormwind, the bragging that came with that, being able to show off that I had that, was so much fun. And you realize that is a big part of these vanity items. That is at the core of why Fortnite is so big, is having something that not just shows that you paid the money, but shows that you had the wherewithal and the toughness to go in and get something like that. And having uniquely rare creatures that you can either make as pets or skin and turn into rare gear, I think would be a lot of fun. So we're talking about polar bears and Boreas, of course, and some discussion about Vulcanites, and yeah, and that's what we're thinking, Peg, is just more than just NFTs and Vulcanites. I think if we did that, it would make the Vulcanites more impressive and more valuable. I think we want them to be seen as these godly beings. And I think if we could have mundane pets, that can't do all of the things the Vulcanites can do, it would make it more impressive that you've got this glowing, godly, creature helping take care of you. Yeah, like those sort of quests are a lot of fun. They're very involved, and that's the sort of thing where it's just having a story to tell and showing your character as the the heroic champion that character is. Sometimes it's nice to have a little cool trophy thing, to have a cool little element of look at all the work I did, So the battle squirrel, hidden chest to break would be fantastic. Again, Peg, you're right. These are the sort of things that are like the high bar for a good MMO is having these elements. Yes, and Ness, thank you for bringing that up. I'm trying to be careful because the devs want to be cautious about what we can say until they've at least tested enough to know, hey, this is something that we can talk about. But we've got some good stuff. So yeah, explain Battle Squirrel because while those words put together are hilarious, I don't have any context for that. And then Arcadia with some random characters in the background doing some archery, bugs flying around random. Yes, Scory. That is what I call a living environment. That is a place where you walk in and you feel like it's going. You feel like if you leave, everybody's going to keep doing their stuff in the same way. So, hey, Channel of Woe, good to see you. Sal, you're gonna send the visual. Oh boy, now I don't know if I'm excited or a little bit frightened about the battle score here. Is it like a sort of a um, Monty Python Holy Grail? Remember the vicious rabbit that kills half the knights? If that's that vibe, I'm all in. All right, we've got the creature to round out the volcano. You know what? Actually, Lumpy would be interesting. Would having this is a good might be a good way to get the community involved. Is we say once a quarter or something like that. What is going to be the new rare beast? What is going to be the new rare mythical creature that is going to be out there? And maybe we could even drop like little Easter egg clues about where it will be and the residency, and so that would give us kind of a live services, a cool new adventure to be coming out. It would definitely give us a big reason to be checking back in. So, all right, Sal just sent me Tristan the Battle Squirrel. Okay. I was right to be terrified. That is a scary looking little mammal right there. It was an old community. Okay. So wait, was this ever actually modeled out and created in the game, or was it just a kind of a meme thing that went around? Oh, it was a meme thing. Okay. Because like some of the best memes getting turned into game things can be a lot of fun. I'm just saying, I'm already fascinated enough just seeing this. This might not be the last we see of Battle Squirrel. Tristan may return, So okay, and so I don't even want to ask Lumpy about the mother thing. But Wyron. Okay, obviously there's some community history here that I need to know. Or the mother of all Vulcanites. Okay, Salman, DM mother. I don't know if that's ever a text I want to respond happily to, but okay, she's hot. I mean, I don't know if anything could be hotter than Tristan Battle Squirrel in full armor. And is that a pink wig that Tristan is wearing? Interesting. All right. Sorry, I'm seeing these. So this is the sort of thing I love. If you've ever, in Diablo played the cow level, or there's so many games will have kind of their silly offshoot sort of thing, and I think that's the stuff where we can all feel like we're participants in something that does not take itself too seriously. And I know that I've been pushing for a lot of stuff, getting more locked into the Vulcanverse, more locked into the our lore. But I want you to know I'm not opposed in any way, shape, or form to creative fun silliness, especially if it harkens back to old times. I mean, come on, we've already got. I still one of the first things that stood out to me the first time I ever played before I even had this job, when I was just kind of checking out what was going, the fact that one of the Vulcanites is a dying rat. I had to laugh at that. I'm like, who's gonna pick dying rat when they've got all these magical creatures? But like that shows already like kind of a wink and a nod towards an interesting sort of the character and the humor that's around what we're doing. Um, all right. So, okay, the orbs of Sexagenta. I'm not sure what that is, Astro. Scoring Earthworm Jim. I think one of the OG comedic games, that I still think does not get as much credit for the inspirational piece of art. And yes, I will say it, of art that Earthworm Jim represented. Um, and then Peg asks, can we expect some sort of yearly calendar one day where everyone will know what will happen during a full calendar year in terms of competitions? That is absolutely what we're aiming for right now. I think while it might not be, just because of the nature of game development and the ups and downs of what can happen with new elements, it probably won't have this day. This will be dropping. I mean, even Blizzard sometimes misses those dates, but we can definitely have, this is what is planned, that this is going to be this is the season that the demons and Hades will be rising up, and this is the season that we're going to be battling against these the a rebellion by the gods of nature against the gods against the Vulcanites, sort of thing. That kind of big story, the meta story stuff, we can absolutely plan. So all right. Yeah. Let's go back to work. Yeah, Earthworm Jim was a classic. Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about game development calendars, ask the GTA team. Yeah, ask the Rockstar crew how they're feeling about exact calendar dates. So anyway, we have any more questions, folks, about the process that we're going through? Oh, there was actually a topic I wanted to bring up. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. This is something that we're kind of debating right now. We're going back and forth on the inclusion of a mobile SKU of our games. The ability to access our games on your cell phone. Is let me present to you, for us, what we're seeing is the pros and cons of this, right? The pros, of course, is it immediately becomes so much more accessible to a much wider audience. If you were to compare the number of people that had a Nintendo, that had a PlayStation, that had a computer, to the number of people that have this little console, it's vast, right? There's an accessibility thing there. However, getting on the mobile is going to require some change of UI UX. It's going to require some engineering. A lot of engines, I know, both the Unreal Engine and the Unity have really good capabilities for that kind of swapping back and forth. But you always want to be aware of, you don't have the full glorious keyboard on your phone in such an easy way as you do on your PC. So we're debating back and forth. I think there's some games in our library would fit mobile more quickly and easily. For instance, Tower Defense. I think Tower Defense would be a very easy swap over to that. But of course, once you get into the more first-person shooter feel games, that they get trickier. Now, I know some games have done that. You've got, Fortnite has been very successful in having a version of the game on the phone and on every PC and console, and they even have crossplay, which means it's always going to be easier to find more people playing at a time. But to be able to have that, I think anybody who is a big fan of first-person shooters and really refined play styles, they know that Fortnite is not the sharpest tool if you want to play a killer an FPS. Fortnite is more of a builder, explorer, adventurer. The gun game is not as refined as maybe a Counter-Strike would be, right? Now, I don't know that we're as sold on needing our thing to be a gun game, so maybe that would be a fair cross. But what are our takes? Let's read through what we're thinking about this. Okay, sorry, we're still talking about Tartarus. teams in Tartarus would be interesting. Okay. So Channel Will says I play Vulcan's Creed and Tower Defense on mobile 90% of the time. Would also play VU because I play off my laptop and it's not always set up. Okay, so there's a vote towards yes going mobile. Lumpy, I'm assuming you're talking about Tartarus making it a 4 to 8 player raid. If you have 4 high level players with great Volks, then you get way more rewards than an 8 player one. That is something we'd love to look into. Some games are already super nice to play on mobile, but I would never play something that would require staying more than 20 minutes on the stage run. Yeah, that's the trick too. Is with a mobile game, you always, just to be able to play on a phone, you have to allow for at any point the player could get a phone call, at any point the player could swap over, at any point the phone could die, and so you have to make the game easy to pop in and out of, and some games are just not amenable to that. That can be tricky, especially in a Vulcanverse game, which is kind of like this we're hoping to become more of a social hub. Maybe it's a case of if you pop out on your phone, your character just sits down or, starts leafing through a scroll or something like that until they come back. There are ways to solve that, but a tower defense game, I think just for the graphics, for the ease of dragging around with your finger, I think would be the easier fix. So anyway, something to think about, something to chew on. And please, if you have any more, further thoughts in that direction, hop over to the canyon, Cameron's Canyon, and put your thoughts in on that. Anyway, okay. Any other dire questions of great import? I know this discussion was more of a here's some cool fun art than than dev stuff. The Vulcanite area. I'm not sure you're talking about, Peg. Inside Royale. Yes. And it's something that we're looking at right now, so can't dive into it too much at the moment. But it's that is something I'm very excited about doing as well, is having these various areas in Tartarus, like actually having different moods. We know in the myths and legends that Tartarus was very much broken up into sections and had different areas being guarded by different things. And I'm excited to kind of fill that out and make that a part of our missions. So, okay, the Vulcan area, set them up and watch them fight. The Street Fighter Mortal Kombat game with the Volks that we have. Yeah, so right now, like I'm trying to just keep my focus on the Fatui, on getting that stuff through. I'm not as focused on some of these other million other games that we're talking about. Oh, that's another thing that we're discussing right now is the this is kind of along the lines of what we're talking about. You pull up our installer and you've just got this big slew of games, some of them that are really no longer more supported. And we're going to try and clean that out. And then because I want to start moving towards a greater focus on Vulcanverse as being a center point, as being kind of the hub, we're going to see if we can put that in a more center point on the installer, maybe even scale it up a little bit and have the other games accessible as looking like they're kind of on the side right there. And maybe even giving a note of like start here or a glowing highlight or something like that to play through. But yeah, Peg, post that in Canyon. It'll be interesting to see that. Solomon, that's exactly right. We've got lots of priorities, lots of ideas, and that's why I'm thinking out of anything that the Vulcan Forged universe needs right now, it is a focus on bringing all of this myriad of ideas, this storm of ideas into a single place, so that we can get something that just looks solid and impressive and fun. And so that's what I'm trying to bring in on this. And yeah, let's discuss further on into the Cameron's Canyon right there. You guys, thanks again for logging in, and let's absolutely throw some more ideas to us about any of this stuff in the canyon, and we will discuss there. So otherwise, thanks everybody. Have a great week.